So here's part 2 of how we make our mitten. We're going to take our flattened tube that we've stitched the two ends together, and what we're going to do now is make the top part of our mitten. So in this part, we're going to end up folding our tube in half again to make it in a round to go around our hand. But first we got to cinch close the top of the tube to make the mitten part. So now to be able to cinch close or tighten close the top of our mitten, we need to make some big stitches, and I'm going through just the top of the zigzag part where we slip stitch the tube closed to flatten it. I'm weaving it in and out. If you did my teddy bear tutorial, it's the same concept that we did to make the head of the teddy bear. And I'll open it up maybe so you can see it. So we're just going all the way across, making some big stitches until we get to the end. And then once we get to the end of the flattened tube, if we pull, now we're able to cinch the top closed, but leaving the bottom open. And now we want to connect the two sides by going through with our needle and pull it as tight as you can to close up that circle, and then I knot it in place. And I'm going to do a couple knots to make sure it's secured. Once it's knotted, then I'm going to sew back and forth through that circle just to secure it and make sure it's tight together. And this is kind of the same thing I do if you watch any of my beanie hat tutorials. I do the same thing. When you close the top of your beanie hat, you knot it, and then I sew back and forth, just closing that upper hole to make sure it's tight and secure. Once I'm done with that, we're going to knot it to close. Now we're going to do the bottom, and we're going to stitch this closed. And so I take the other end of my working yarn and I put it through to the other end to secure them together. And then we're going to do, I called it a blind stitch, I think, in my fingerless glove tutorial. I believe this is a mattress stitch that we're doing. If you know the actual term of what this is, let me know. But we're going to go through the little V part of both sides of our knitted part, and then we pick up this little stitch that's in between, or little piece of yarn that's in between, and when we go back and forth, and that kind of closes it so you don't actually see your working yarn. So in this little V area right here, we pick up that piece of yarn and we pull through and go back and forth. And then when we pull the yarn tight, it closes it together so we don't see this yarn, and you can't quite tell where we've joined the two sides together. And so we're going to do this going up, and then you want to stop at where you want your thumb to be. So once we get where you want your thumb to be, you just want to check it to see where it's at. If you want your thumb it to go up a little bit more, closed up a little bit more, do a few more stitches, but this seems to be about right for me. Where to put the thumb? You're going to take your working yarn with the needle, and then we're going to skip 6 of those stitches. So you just put your needle under and count 6 of those little pieces of yarn that you'd normally work up. And the 6th one, you pull it through. So we skip those, and then, because this is how we're going to close it to make a circle. And then on your other side, you want to count 6. 1, 2, and you want to go in the right spot. 6. That's our 6th one. and we pull it there so it's even, so they come together. And that's our hole for our thumb. And then we continue with this mattress stitch all the way up to the top of the mitten. And then you want to knot it to secure it closed so it doesn't unravel. And sometimes you might start picking up the wrong stitches and it won't look quite right. It's pretty easy to take out and just redo. It just takes a little bit of practice on where to pick up your stitches. So once I get up to the end, and I make sure that's the way I want it, and it looks like it fits good, now I'm going to knot those two ends together, and I'm going to pull them through and cut off any excess. Okay, now our mitten is almost complete. Now we just need to attach the thumb to our mitten. So I'm going to put the mitten inside out. Since it's doubled, you can do either side as your inside or outside. Just figure out which side you would like to be your outside. I always try to choose the prettier, neatest side to be on the outside. And we're going to take our thumb and we're going to put it into that hole. And remember, our thumb was 12 single crochets around, and then we skipped 6 on either side of our mitten, and so we have 12 and 12 in the round. And I do a whip stitch. First I take that end tail of our thumb and I kind of just put it into the knitted part to secure the ends together, and then I start doing a whip stitch to secure them together, and I go through 2 times through each stitch all the way around to secure. And I kind of went out of frame there, sorry, but we just go all the way around to secure our thumb to our mitten. And now if you know how to hand knit in the round, you could definitely make your thumb that way. I do not know how to hand knit, but I know how to crochet, so that's why I opted to crochet my thumb. I've tried making a thumb on the circular knitting machine. I even have the small 22 needle one, and it was just way too big. So for size-wise, to crochet the thumb just seemed to work the best. If you know how to knit in the round, you can also hand knit a thumb and then secure them together. And so before I knot it, I just make sure I didn't miss any stitches on the outside, that it's all secured. And it's the way I like it. And you can use it for either right or left hand. They're not handed. Once I make sure, I put it back inside out and I just knot to secure it, and then I weave in the end and cut off any extra. So this is the end of part 2 of our mitten tutorial. Please like and follow for more. Thank you so much. Happy knitting.